Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to this wonderful woman sitting in front of me. When I took a peek at her article, I said, I have got to get her in here to chat a little bit more about all of her incredible insights. Her name's Alicia Thorp. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, Brooke. I'm excited.
Well, I think it's such a fun topic. Chronic people pleasing. It's something that so many women and so many people in general struggle with. Where did your journey with it begin?
I think I was people pleasing without even knowing that I was doing it.
Yeah.
So I have, like my life growing up, we were very happy. We didn't have a broken home. I was very busy. We were social. And we were, as kids, I say we, as in my sister and my brothers, were told that,
Right.
people, they're good. People are good, right? So if there's flaws, like maybe you just got to give them a second chance, or maybe they were having a bad day. And of course, I think that's kind of how we all are anyway. But some people, they might not be the nicest people and they might not deserve those second chances, right? But
Or
I
the
was
third
always
chances or the fourth chances that people
exactly.
pleasers want to give.
Yes. So that was me. I was the third, fourth, fifth. Like, I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable after you made me uncomfortable. Like, that was the kind of role I was playing without even realizing what I was basically doing to myself in a negative way, like with that people pleasing. And at that point, when I started, with friends or just trying to, get, growing up, you try to fit in and you try, all the sports and all the things. And well, they're acting this way, so I should act that way. And even that, you start to, go down this people pleasing path. And it's just kind of something that I started doing. I didn't realize I was doing until it was like, oh my gosh, look what I got myself into a really, poor situation later in life. And I was like, I am giving people too much.
And I'm always curious about this because for everyone it's so different. So for me, it was a specific, like split moment realization. Some people it's gradual. They over time begin to realize who I am is eroded as a person. I'm beat down, I'm burnt out at both ends, and it's gradual. But for some people, it is a specific moment in time where they look around and they don't recognize themselves. Was it gradual for you, or was it a specific moment?
It was a specific moment. It was. And it was a hard realization because then I looked back on myself and I saw all the other times that I should have snapped out of it and I didn't, so then you have
Mhm.
that negative self-talk on top of trying to stop people pleasing. So like you're just a wreck of everything, but you're
Well, and it's so easy
trying.
to beat yourself up. It's
Yes.
so incredibly easy.
Yes. And that was kind of the circle I found myself in. And I was like, no, I'm not going to beat myself up for wanting to stand up for what I believe in, for what I think is my truth, like what I know is my truth versus what I think I should be doing, I should say. And I'm not going to dwell on the things that I now see as people pleasing. Moving forward, I'm just going to change and position myself in a way that might be abrupt. It might seem out of character, but it was me standing in my confidence and my truth to get to that, better version, that real version of myself.
Everyone sees people pleasing differently. What's your definition of it from your life, your lived in experience?
I think people pleasing is a way to be on an even playing field with everyone. So people
Mhm.
pleasing to me is, you're the yes girl, or you're going to help somebody even though you have 15 other things you're supposed to be doing, and you're constantly standing up for others even if you don't agree with what they did, and you're not standing up for yourself, right? So people pleasing is just a way that you kind of like are just happy no one is negative to you
Angry with you.
because yeah, no one's gotten a chance because you're on their side. So it makes for a good friend, but it also can be used against you because they know that you won't be combative. You're not going to argue or create waves. And that's kind of where I realized people pleasing was not for me anymore, because I needed to create waves to get out of a situation that I was slowly being put into from having this kind of mindset for so long.
And people pleasing, it makes you popular. And I think for a lot of people, middle school is a hard age, high school is a hard age. It ramps up in middle and high school. because you want to be popular, you want to be well liked, you want to be well respected. And then, in my opinion, in my experience, that just carries on and it doesn't stop because being popular is seen as a good thing.
Right. And then it carries on later in life because when you're working, you are asked to do tasks that might not have been on your job description, right? So then like that turns into a whole nother situation where you're people pleasing relationships, you're people pleasing your work, you're people pleasing your family, you're people pleasing all over. And
You're like, I don't know how to do this, but I'll figure it out. And it cracks myself up. I was a really bad people pleaser and that people were always asking me to do one specific thing, me to do one specific thing, and I didn't know how to do it. And I was like, I'll do it. They're like, can you get it done by tomorrow? And I have to like Google to try to figure out how to do it because I don't know how. That is chronic people pleasing in action.
Yes. And it does, it takes over every little part of your life. And then you start to chip away at the pieces once you feel like you can't do it anymore.
And I love that chip away. It's very visual. It's very tangible. How do you feel that people pleasing chipped away at the essence of who you truly are in your soul before you were able to reconstruct yourself?
Yeah. And I think what happened is I just became, I don't like saying like a doormat, like I could be walked
Yeah.
all over, but you essentially are that, right? So like you first don't say what you really mean. So there's your voice being chipped out at you, like you can't do it, right? You don't maybe show up to a place that you really want to show up to because so-and-so is not going, right? Or you lie because that's what they told you to say. And like all these things. So now you're a liar. Now you have no like self-worth
Integrity.
because you don't do what you want. Yeah. And your integrity just, everything just kind of funnels downward and then you find yourself at the bottom.
Wow. I relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the reason I elected to do this series was I am a really bad or have been a really bad chronic people pleaser. And I don't think we societally talk about it enough because if you read books and you watch TV shows and movies, people pleasers are often very popular characters.
And
And
that's
so this negative dark side is very rarely talked about.
right. Yes. And that's because now we're putting waves in the lake, right? You're like rippling the ocean a little bit, whatever they say, and you're causing ripples in your circle of people. So you're when you throw a stone into the lake and the ripples go out, like you're now the stone and you're creating waves and you're creating ripples. And you're like, no, I'm not creating this as an argument. I'm creating it because I'm finally settled and standing in my truth. And you can either let that wave blow over and still be in my, circle, or you can just kind of roll on out with the tide, and let it go.
I love that. I once had somebody tell me, you just like to create chaos now. I said, I'm not trying to create chaos. I'm just trying to tell you something.
Yeah. And that's boundary setting, and they are not used to that. And that's, that's something that you're supposed to do as an individual, create boundaries. And even as like, in your businesses, have boundaries, in your friendships, in everything. And that is definitely a step that was harder to work through and work on, is because you didn't want to be that person creating chaos. And you're like, no, I'm not. I'm just stating my opinion, stating my truth, setting my boundaries. And if people don't like it because they're not used to it, they'll see themselves out eventually.
When you finally realized, hey, I've been people pleasing, it's not a pattern that I want to continue with for the rest of my life, what did you start putting into action?
I started with a lot of inner work because, like I said, when I realized like it was that cut and dry moment and I had to look back on all the things that I might have been people pleasing my way into like, bad situations, then I'm like, okay, well, what can I do moving forward? How can I realize that I'm doing it? Because you don't just stop. And it's a mindset shift. So the awareness was first. The awareness of this person's asked me a question, think about it before you respond. And then confidently, which is another lesson you have to learn, is to stand up for yourself and be confident, speak your truth. So the mindset of like saying to yourself, this is a person that I've had issues with. And it doesn't mean you've had bad issues. It just might be somebody that you've always just been a yes person to. And, like, okay, this is coming at me. I can either remove myself from the situation completely or notice what my response will be and stand tall and firm in what I believe is the truth, and then that's how you move forward with people, with your job, with, whatever it is that you have going on.
Mm-hmm. If somebody were coming to you and they said, "Hey, I'm aware now. I woke up and I don't like this. This is not who I want to be. This is not how I want to live." What are three, I know this is a hard question. What are three actionable tips and strategies you would share with them? Your three little golden nuggets of advice, I suppose.
I always like to say have a safe space is number one. Maybe it's sitting in your car. You don't need to have like a fancy house with a corner that's all decorative and like, all the ambiance. Like just have a
That would be
safe,
nice. We don't have to have that. I mean,
right?
I
Like,
would like to have like a sunroom, but I don't.
but if you have a safe space, like that's your zone of genius. So you're coming back to yourself in that moment. And then within that, taking time to breathe and recognize that being uncomfortable is okay. And know that you don't have to please everybody and you don't have to be a certain way. You need to be yourself. So if you have a space, like all those things might flow into you so simple because you're then out of the situation, aware. You can breathe into it, notice it. If you have to write things down, everyone has their phone at all times. Like just jot down some notes of like, this is how I feel. Let me get through it. And then like your anxiety might calm down a little bit. And you're able to maybe, if you listen to certain music or you have devotionals, I'm very faith filled now. So I will do devotionals or I'll open a certain app that I like and it has the soft music, and I'll just like recenter and I'll come from a space of creating what I want versus reacting to what somebody else is wanting me to do, if that makes sense.
Well, creation is huge because if you're not careful, you'll spend your whole life reacting. We have these beautiful technologies that keep us reacting to stuff all day long.
And I don't touch the phone or go onto the computer. It's usually at least 2 hours after I wake up.
Good.
My alarm's on there. I do have apps on there, but like everything is set for productivity. That's my terms for things that
Mhm.
I want to create for my day moving forward. Even,
Mhm.
I have children, but I still schedule in my time. And then I have like, breakfast time and time to be out the door and like all those things set. But I will not go onto the computer and go into this downward spiral of politics or weather. Like, I mean, anything can cause me anxiety. So like, you get
Or,
all,
oh my goodness, I make instruction sheets. Oh my goodness, they didn't listen to my instruction sheet while I was sleeping. How dare they?
but like it's just creating your day and has to be day by day. Sometimes even, think about it like meal to meal. You don't have to necessarily have the best morning, but doesn't mean you have a bad day. It means that you can just shift and then again, find your space and then go forward in how you want to create the rest of the day.
I love meal to meal. I've never heard that.
Something my husband told me, he was in the military and they would count down the days until they got home. And it was just like, get to the next meal. I was like, oh my gosh. So I can't take full credit. I don't know where he heard it, but that I was like, yes, 100%.
Yeah, yeah. Breakfast wasn't great. Lunch might be better.
Right. And we all have the same, hours in the day, they say, but it doesn't matter if it's 2 o'clock and you're just having the second part of your day or 12 o'clock. Like it doesn't matter. Just take a time for your schedule, shift whatever you have to, and then move forward. So don't compare yourself, your journey, it's individualized.
I think we need to get meal by meal or meal to meal tattooed on everyone. It's incredible. I want
There's
to be
your
tattooed on
aha
my
moment.
body. Although I will say to you, tattoos scare me. So I might just have to get like a fake tattoo and put it on myself.
Just get a really good pen and just write it.
Or just write it in really, really big, messy letters. Oh my goodness. Well, we're wrapping up. If there's one thing you want to say to anyone out there that's struggling with people pleasing, what would that be?
Be brave.
Mm,
Surround yourself with the right people. And like I said earlier, the wrong people will filter themselves out because they'll be uncomfortable with you finally being comfortable with yourself and standing up for yourself. And it's a process. It's not going to be instant. Give yourself grace. Find that safe spot. Learn the music that you love to just kind of hone yourself back in, breathe, and just kind of move forward and taking it slow and that's, I think, the biggest takeaway is take it slow. You got this.
If somebody wants to connect with you, they love your energy, they love your spirit, and they want to learn potentially how to work with you, how do they do that?
The best way right now, you can go onto Facebook. It's Alicia Thorp, and just shoot me a message, honestly, because I do have a few things that are, paid programs and stuff that people can buy into, but I'm not going to get into a sales page right now. But if you find me on Facebook, Alicia Thorpe is the best way. And on Instagram, it's actually, I'm going to spell it for you, but it's PowHer Up. So it's PowHer.UP. So it's like
Okay.
women empowerment, PowHer Up. And that's on
And
Instagram.
we'll put that little handle there
Okay.
so that nobody has to try to write it out, because we definitely want people to find you. We want people to connect with you because you are wonderful. And I've had so much fun. I even have a new tattoo idea to go from this incredible conversation. I'm so grateful and so thankful that you spent some time with me to just really deconstruct your journey with people pleasing. And I know it's going to help a lot of people.
Thank you. I appreciate it so much.
Yes, thank you.